Good evening.
Good evening.
There is a lot going on in The Doctor's Daughter, and it's a bit tricky to unpick it all, quite frankly. I think, in all honesty, and this is a topic that's cropped up a couple of times, this would have benefited from being a two-parter, because there's so much going on in this story. Let us unpick.
Well, I've just remembered that Martha was in it.
Yes, Martha was in it, and that's where we start, because Martha's in it. Now, it's not very often that we get the return of a companion, and again, even less often that we get the return of a companion travelling in the TARDIS. This is an unusual step, and I've always been a bit incredulous that it's Martha that got this gig. Now, we know Freema ends up cropping up in Doctor Who, in Torchwood, in Sarah Jane Adventures. And there is part of me that feels as if this particular episode is them giving her the runaround, letting her be the Doctor a little bit in her own way.
Who?
But Martha.
Martha.
Well, she
No.
kind of... Yes, because she kind of gets a companion. Rubbishly, she lets that companion die. A fish that can't swim.
Pathetic.
She's not pathetic. Stop it, Liv.
Oh my gosh.
She's not
nothing
pathetic.
like the Doctor. She's not running around being like
But I
the
just-
Doctor. She doesn't solve any problems. She
But
puts herself in peril
All
and
right.
ends up killing someone.
Okay, so there are differing opinions on Martha Jones in this Shay Collins. But Martha's here, that's undeniable, and I do think, I personally enjoy Martha being back in the TARDIS. I think that's quite fun. I have no idea why she's in this particular story, though, because thematically, it doesn't really make much sense. I think if there was a two-parter here, you could make more of that, and then you could have the sort of unpicking of some of the other aspects of the story coming through. But yeah, it's just a weird, really weird story to have Martha in. Anyway, that's by the way. We have
How did she end up there? Was it just accidental?
the TARDIS. She was in the TARDIS, and the TARDIS recognised there was a paradox to be part of, so off it flew. I think it's one of those preordained things. And this is another thing that we're getting to. There are some rock-solid sci-fi concepts in this story. Now, I personally... You were a little bit incredulous, weren't you, Lib? I've used that word twice now. About the 7-Day War and the generations sort of passing down this myth, creation myth thing.
I felt like Donna jumped to that very quickly, whereas I don't think it was the only...
That's fair. But I do like the fact that Donna is given the opportunity to look clever in this episode.
Yeah, Donna looks very clever.
Yeah, and there's two...
And it really plays off badly against the other ones.
And there's sometimes the Martha haters.
Team Ginger.
I think it's great to give Donna the opportunity to look smart because her character doesn't naturally lean into that, quite honestly, but she is given the opportunity to work to her strengths here, and it pays off. And yes, she might leap to that conclusion a bit quickly, but it stands up, and so it works. But
Can I say something?
yes, of course, say
Sorry,
something,
I
Lynn.
know I'm being a bit
No,
awkward,
carry on.
But I think it's nice to see Donna being the clever one who works it out, and she's quite proud of the fact that she's worked as a temp. She's worked in a library.
Standing up for the sort
Whereas,
of
like Martha,
being a doctor.
is a doctor.
Which
She's
is
brain smart.
completely-
Not necessarily.
It's overvalued, that job, isn't it, being a doctor? You know, it's not important.
I mean, that's not where I was going with this. Where I was going was I don't like Martha.
A doctor. Yeah, but it's right. You know, one of the joys about the companion is they are an ordinary person doing extraordinary things. Ordinary people do extraordinary things. There's a chance that you've done something extraordinary today and you can do something extraordinary tomorrow. But Donna, who's worked in a library, yay for that, and had been a temp, okay, is good at numbers. Fair enough, great. I like the whole 7-Day War thing. I personally buy into all of that. I am sure, help me out in the comments below. Quick nod to Stu. Thank you for giving me the nod on the guy who played Luke. Someone else to look and see his other work. Thank you. But I'm sure this has been ripped straight out of some sci-fi masterwork somewhere that I'm unaware of. Okay, and I'm sure that when I read the Tapwood review and all that, I'll understand that better. But I think it works beautifully in Doctor Who. But that's another big chonky element to bring into this story. We get a brand new alien race. The Hath aren't the greatest alien race in the world, but they're quite sweet. And although not brilliantly recognised on screen, they've certainly got a lot of personality for saying they're all absolutely identical. I have to just give a little nod to the fact, though, if you're going to put your hand in a machine that takes a skin graft, you really shouldn't be wearing leather gloves. Okay? There's no way that works. But I'm going to... The Hath were all had gloves, and they all put their hands in the machine the same way as the people did.
Oh, I was a bit confused at the beginning where they said everyone had to be processed.
And then only the doctor was processed.
And then we're like,
yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Let's not do any more processing.
But there's so many things in this episode. So, you know, things like that I think are getting missed. And then, of course, we get to the most fundamental aspect of this episode is that David Tennant meets his future wife, who's also his daughter. And also his daughter from a previous generation. It's very meta-complicated here, but let's ignore all of that. I think Georgina Moffat, at this stage, does a superb job with this role because it's honestly a thankless task. It's a really, really rubbish gig. You are going to be the Doctor's child. This character, who we haven't seen a member of their family since 1964. You know, I'm right about that, aren't I? We've not seen a member of the Doctor's family. I don't think we have. And then you're going to be their daughter. I think she does an absolutely brilliant job in making this character come to life. And I think it goes without saying that Tennant and Tate do a spectacular job of easing this character into the story, of showing how the Doctor's conflicted about this. The progression of the Doctor's feelings throughout the whole story makes total sense. I totally buy into that. And at the end, you do sense that this could be an absolutely fantastic addition to the TARDIS team. And you think, actually, this could really, really work. And then she gets shot, and you're absolutely gutted. And if you're my daughter, you burst into tears, which is, you know, a completely legitimate response.
And if you're your wife, you're thinking, why aren't they trying hard to save her?
Well, that's it. But, you know, you thought Dr. Martha Jones said that she wasn't going to make it, so I believe her.
Stood there and looked
So,
at her and went, yeah, back this way.
Anyway. That moment at the end where Tennant holds the gun to the guy's head is genuinely shocking. And I think when we look back over the Tennant era, we're going to pick that part out as being something worth reflecting on. I have to be honest, I think some of the dialogue gets a bit clunky after that. Make the base of your society a man who wouldn't. Wouldn't what? Go to the toilet? Have a cup of tea? You know what I'm saying?
Also, base your society on me.
Yeah. But that plays into the arrogance of the plays into the arrogance of the Doctor. This is the theme that we come back to with Tennant. But that moment where he grabs the gun, I'd forgotten that happened, and it was like, this is just a so un-Doctor-like thing to happen that it just had a real heft to it, and I really, really enjoyed it. So, when all is said and done about the Doctor's daughter, there are some phenomenal aspects to this. I genuinely think that Jenny is a brilliant addition to the Doctor Who mythos. I am somewhat gutted she's never come back, but there is always Big Finish, and therefore we can always tap into those if we want to. She has done Big Finish. Yes, she has. So that's all very well and good. But there's just so much going on in this story, and I just kind of think you could have afforded either to make it a two-parter, which I think would have been very, very interesting. You could have done a bit more with the two races, and that would have been quite fun. You could have expanded that out, and it's got a concept at the heart of it that's worthy of two parts, or stripped one element away, which probably would have been Martha, which would have made my wife happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She didn't do anything, did she?
I don't know. Well,
I genuinely don't think she added to it.
I think she's set up to do something, but I just don't think it comes off. And I
also
think.
Don't think she's that good an actress.
Okay. All right. But great. Look, this season, I think if you'd have asked me before we started the Tennant, which would be the best season, I may have said the Martha season. Weirdly, only because it's got the Master stuff at the end. It's got Human Nature. It's got Blink. It's got some bangers in there.
But This is my favourite.
This is brilliant. I mean, this is every week. What?
I think last season's my favourite season. Oh, I don't know now.
Oh, you see, there we go. This is his last season.
No, I mean the last season that we watched.
Martha's last season. Martha's season. Well, there you go.
There are some bangers in it when you think about it. This is the weakest one so far of this season.
Yeah, that's fair. I would agree with that. This is probably the weakest story so far of the season. But for the weakest story so far of the season, I'll take that. I mean, my goodness, it knocks flipping. I would say it's better than Shakespeare Code, for example. Oh, we're pondering that. We're pondering. Right, okay, that's enough of our nonsense. Farewell. See you later.